Welcome back to the CA Short All In Employee Podcast, where we're all in and we give generously. We're so glad you're here. I'm your host, Cheri Lucas, and my co-host today is Jimmy Spencer. You have seen Jimmy on this podcast before, and he is my colleague and fellow account director here at CA Short. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret just between you and me. Jimmy's a whole lot more than just the account director. He's been here so long. Every department depends on him to have the answers for everything. And I'm not sure we could even function without him. So excited that you're here, Jimmy. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
You're so welcome. Thank you. He, more than anyone, is my lifeline since I started with CA Short. and he's put up with a lot of, I'm sure, annoyances of my just asking a million questions and sometimes over and over, but always extremely kind and patient. So I appreciate him so much. And if he didn't know the answer, he always figures one out with me. So he's a great team player, which is something we're going to end up talking about today. But before we do, Jimmy, I'm just wondering, when you were a kid, did you ever build forts?
Yeah. Well, different types of forts. We would have our childhood forts in the home where my sister and I would take the sheets and create these forts in the living room into the kitchen and just had a great time. But of course, I lived in the country. We had a lot of family. I had about 13, 14 cousins that lived on family land, and we would build forts on the old creek bed and just have pretend wars out there all the time.
I love that. That sounds very familiar. I also grew up in the country, and I had two older sisters. And then we had neighbors as a relative term, but being out in the country, they weren't that many or that close, but we hung out a lot, and we would build outdoor forts. One of our neighbors had an extended lot with lots of trees, and we built a tree fort all together as a neighborhood team. It was pretty fun. Otherwise, in my house, we used to build a lot of blankets, sheets, towels, every piece of linen in the whole house, and every card table, chair, and just ginormous tent cities in our house. And one of the things that I remember is like using pins, safety pins and clips and heavy objects, anything you could find to hold it all in place just right. And we were always trying to, close all the cracks so that it was secure, like a fortress, right? Well, I was thinking of that yesterday, Jimmy. I received some new equipment for the podcast for my home office. Up to this point, I've been doing the podcast in the office so that I had things taken care of for me and provided. And so they sent me equipment for home. So not only did I have to figure out how to, how to put it all together and use it, right, all on my own and set it up, but I was putting up the green screen. And I was getting so frustrated because there would be a gap. First, there's one here, so I'd tug this way, and then there'd be one over here, then one down there, and I couldn't have any gaps. So I was getting all these clips and all these things, pins to put in the walls, and just all kind of things to finally make it like it's like a cave around me, and it was just curving I was almost enveloped in it. And I was so frustrated until I paused for a second and suddenly remembered that I used to build forts like this when I was a child. And when I allowed myself to pause and think about that, it just, all these wonderful feelings came flooding in of how great it felt to build and create something. And so today I brought it all up because today that's what our guests were. They have taken a program. We have employee engagement solutions here, as you well know, Jimmy, and to remind everybody out there, employee engagement solutions. And one of those is a holiday program. And these representatives of the team that has really, in an outstanding, amazing way, built and implemented our holiday program, which can be very, very customized, and they have done that. And they're coming on today to talk about that with us, because not only have they done just an amazing, exemplary job, but they have been awarded for it. They have received the CA Short All-In Award for Best Holiday Program Implementation. Is that right, Jimmy?
That is correct. And I've got their trophy right here.
Yeah, we're really excited. And here I am like whispering, like they can hear me. They can't hear me. They're in the waiting room. But I'm like, it's so exciting. It's a secret. Just like when I was a kid in that fort hiding, they don't know it. They know they're going to talk about their award and the program and all, all the things, but they weren't able to be at the event that we held to present it to him. And so we are, without their knowing yet, we are presenting them with the reward right here today on the air with you to be their audience. So we're really excited about that. And Jimmy is here with us because Jimmy is their account manager, and as an account director, that's one of the things he does, and he worked very closely with them. So really, he is part of their team for building and implementing this program. So kudos to Jimmy too. This award really is his, even though we're going to ship it to them and they get to have it in their office. So Jimmy, are you ready to invite our guests on air with us?
I'm ready to invite my two friends.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's admit our friends now. Hi, Cathi. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Jimmy and I are so excited to have you on the show today. Just really are. We were just telling our audience about you and what an amazing job you guys did building and implementing one of our employee engagement solutions, the holiday program. So at this point, since Jimmy is your team member, essentially, I'm going to hand it to him and let him start the chat with you. Jimmy, you can tell about it, or you can ask them to tell about it, but I'm going to let you get this all started. And then as we go, I'm going to ask questions and do some things just to help you to tell the story.
Well, the biggest thing is Baystate allowed CA Short and myself to partner with them. It's more than a vendor-customer relationship. It is a partnership. As before they came on, as you mentioned, I look at Lynn and Cathi as a friend within the recognition industry, and I am privileged that I get to work with them. Well, last year we were working with their years of service program, and it came about that they were looking for a holiday solution, and we were able to streamline the holiday solution by allowing their employees to choose an item of their choice that was shipped directly to their home. And I thought it was very successful, but I think Lynn and Cathi can share that success story better than I can, and I am privileged to being able to be a part of it.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I'll start.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lynn Boucher. I'm the Employee Experience Manager here at Baystate Health. To tell you a little bit about Baystate, we are a 13,000 employee multi-hospital system. We have 4 hospitals, a children's hospital, 80 plus physician practices, and a home health agency here in Western Massachusetts. And we we have employees that are all over this part of our state. And we also have a large group of remote employees now that we have had since COVID. So that is new for us. So that's a little bit about who Baystate is. And as Jimmy said, we partnered on our years of service, which was, a certain group of employees, about 600-700 employees each the last 2 years that we've partnered with for a gifts program to honor those years of service. But this holiday program was a whole different animal. This was really, the whole hospital, all employees, every level, and trying to figure out how can we recognize them and get to where they are. We couldn't hand out gifts. That wouldn't have been practical just because we have people just spread out all over the state, and as well as those remote workers. So how can we engage them with a gift, of thanks to them for all the amazing work that they do And knowing that we had good experience on our years of service program, the first thing we did when our leadership approached us and said, "What do you think about this? How can we make this happen?" We went right to Jimmy, and we kind of took off from there. So I'll just sort of set that stage that this was the biggest giveaway that we have ever done. In my time here, I've been with Baystate for 20 years, so this was a really big deal for us, and I'm just grateful that we had such a great partner with Jimmy and CA Short.
That's awesome. What about you, Cathi?
So hi, I'm Cathi Furlani, project coordinator and executive assistant and team member experience. And let me start by saying we have a small team and team member experience. So this ask, we were thrilled about it, but we also knew, okay, 13,000 employees all over the place and equitable. Like, how are we going to do that? Along with all of our other work, this was a huge undertaking because of the relationship we had built with our years of service. Jimmy, like an amazing account director, Linda Proctor, we went into it confident that if we're going to do this and we don't want a lot of glitches, we had no glitches in our past big promotion, like, let's go with them. So we just want to thank them again. It was, we always felt like it was a we kind of partnership. It was never just, like they'll do this and we have to do this. We were all in it together. So that was really great. And I've already forgotten the other part of this question that you asked me because I was just so.
I like the jacket you got on, Cathi.
Oh, thank you. This is part of my swag that I got from that giant promotion, the holiday promotion. And again, we were given, this big ask with a large amount of money that the system didn't really have, but our organization from the top all the way down felt like we want to recognize every single person, everyone, because everyone here at Baystate worked so hard during the pandemic and touched lives and were asked to do things that they never expected. So they didn't have it. We were already outstretched with all the COVID expenses, but they're like, this is going to be costly. We wanted to do it right. And it was very successful.
I want to hear that part. How did it feel for you guys having implemented it? What did it look like? I want the details. Give us all the nitty gritty details, because everybody out there listening doesn't know what that can look like. And you were awarded because of what you did. And so walk us through what it looked like, how it played out, and then what your experience was like, and what you're hearing from your employees about that experience.
Sure, I'll go. Oh, Jimmy, why don't you go? Yeah, you were about to share. Go ahead.
How the program started to how the biggest thing was, how are we going to communicate all of this to 13,000 employees? So we did it in two ways. One, we created a nice custom holiday card that contained a holiday message along with a little brochure of the items that they could select. And we mailed that to every employee's home. And then we followed that up with email communications. And this was what we call a campaign feature, a holiday. So we ran this campaign for a period of time, and then the campaign officially ended. And then throughout the campaign, we did communication reminders to the employees. And then, of course, we would get with Lynn and Cathi about what type of orders were coming in, how many were coming in. And I think we offered, was it 5 or 6 different items that the employees could choose from that would have the Baystate logo on that item for them.
I do want to say, so everything said is right, but when we were brainstorming this, we knew they could do it from our years of service. But one of the things that was really important to us that we got across to Jimmy was our leadership really wanted to make this personal. So the fact that we were able to do the mailing at home was really important, but the card was personalized with a beautiful message that our leadership wrote. So it wasn't just stock. They had the ability to let us really make it our own and have the message was so lovely. And even that, I think, was such a great touch point to our employees that everyone got something at home. And it even had the pictures in the card before they even got to the website to order it all. I mean, and we're talking about behind the scenes, Lynn and I had 13,000 email addresses and home addresses to go through and to make sure we had the right ones and that no one was missed. So those multiple communications were very important throughout the process.
And how did that go for you? Did anybody fall through the cracks?
Yeah, of course.
That's a given.
But
it is.
We had already talked about a fail-safe. Lynn and I had a plan for that. And as emails came in, we were very responsive. And considering the amount of people that we sent it out to, it was a small percentage. And we handled them all. And I think in the way we handled it too, everyone was pretty satisfied. What do you think, Lynn?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we sort of did that fail safe of both to home and via email, because we know that there's parts of our employee population that they don't sit behind a computer. They're not at a computer all day. So they may not be able to check those emails. And we didn't want them to miss these messages or have the messages that they might be getting by email sort of buried with, other emails. So that's why the mailing was an important part of this, was so they could get that at home. They could also get the email. And then, of course, then there became word of mouth where the employees were telling each other, hey, I just got this email. Did you get this email? And it was driving people to look for it. We know that people were talking about it with the card home. And so sort of hitting those two ways really did help us. But yeah, there's always going to be something that gets missed. Maybe someone had just started or someone was about to leave and maybe, was off the list. But we really were able to, whenever someone reached out, we sort of had an internal email that we asked them to reach out to. They also could reach out to CA Short and say, hey, my coworker got this email. I can't find it. I didn't get it. So we could look them up, make sure they should have been part of the program, and then ask CA Short and Jimmy and Linda, can you send them the email? So we were able to kind of catch up if there was anybody that was missed. But really, as both Jimmy and Cathi said, for how many people that we had to reach, I think we did a really great job. And I think a testament to that is I think we had a 90%. Am I right, Jimmy?
You did. That's what you got.
Participation rate of 13,000 folks. So to me, we were blown away. We did not know what to expect with that. So that was pretty incredible that we were able to get a 90% participation rate. And I think a lot of that was through the communications, through word of mouth. We hadn't done anything like this before. So I think the employees were excited about it. And I will just share with you, I'm looking at Kathy's jacket right now. And when I am over at the hospitals or I'm at a training and I see people walking around with that jacket, I just get so happy because it's very different from any other jacket we've given away or that you can buy in our gift shop. We usually go with a fleece jacket. And so when I see that, I know that's where that jacket came from, was from that holiday event. And that just, I'm so happy whenever I see those jackets.
Well, and really, to me, that's the best gift of all that, Lynn, is when you get to re-experience it all year long, or even for years long, when you see something and it triggers that good feeling. I mean, that's the great thing. And I love talking about having things sent to the home, because then with your employees, not only are they experiencing it, but they're able to have that experience with their family or whoever is right around them. And every podcast I talk about the ripple effect. We have a ripple effect in everything that we do, and it causes this really wonderful ripple effect for your employees to be able to share things with the people closest to them, which just makes them more content, which, coming back to work makes them more content, engaged, and productive, and, it goes in there, but it really affects your bottom line, really, ultimately. I mean, I don't want to reduce it to that, but we all know that that's the case. So it's just this really beautiful thing. So you're not just creating the capital that the company, a business has to have to move forward, but you're creating communities of people, a big growing one that looks like a whole bunch of little ones, but they're all connected by this beautiful ripple effect of people just feeling good and feeling better than they did before because of something that's happening at work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say
that. Yeah, go ahead, Cathi.
Before we get off on this subject, I do want to say that one of the things I think was so successful was because we did think about, what happens if someone doesn't get this? And not only did we have a wonderful HR department that has this whole HR Answers phone number that anyone who has a question can call. So they can call that. We let HR Answers know, hey, we have this giant program going out. If anyone calls questioning it, here's what you need to know. Like, here's some bullet points. And when they called the customer service at CA Short, it was seamless. They knew what to do. Jimmy, we had talked to Jimmy about what's the process. But we also, with our admin rights to the site, could look and see who did and who didn't, on a daily basis, redeem. So we were watching it the whole process because we had all of these avenues. And that was another reason we had a lot of participation.
I'm hearing a lot in what you're saying, that you guys were very prepared, very forward thinking and anticipating all possible obstacles, right? And anticipating creating something that would not be fall short of not even one person, and then having conversations, communicating that amongst yourselves with Jimmy and CA Short. So help really, 90%, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So excited about that. And that does make me sad for the 10%.
But I got to tell you, our leadership was super excited about this as well. And I remember the first, I think, Lynn, like maybe the first days when it kicked off, Lynn and I were checking on the website like all the time, sometimes like twice and 3 times a day, and texting, and they were forwarding it to this, like, we have this many people who've already ordered and now this many people. And so the excitement back from even the some senior leadership to us was just like, it was electric. It was electric during a time when, and you're right about the families too, like getting something in their home, having their partners and their children see that they were being recognized, that someone thought of them, and a time when there was a lot of disconnect because of COVID. People weren't feeling connected. It was like, wow, you got something in the mail and you're getting the gift sent to you. So it's like hitting them twice in that whole family of ripple effect too.
Yes. Jimmy, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I agree with everything they say, but one of the things that I do believe that healthcare workers are some of the most awesomest people in the world. Especially with nurses and doctors and all the other different specialties that are out there. But then you have that team of Lynn, Cathi, that are supporting those individuals. And it is amazing that the job that they have to do, because I can't say enough about healthcare. My daughter is going to be going into it. She's applying for her grad school in occupational therapy. So I hope that whoever she goes to work with has a team like Lynn and Cathi and the HRs at Baystate that will support her where she's going to be going.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I'm loving looking at Jimmy's face. This is I think the most emotional looking I've ever seen Jimmy. And you ladies have the whole time just, wanted y'all to tell me about your experience, but we can see your experience. It's happening now, and I just love it. It makes me happy. I keep getting chills, and I keep grinning. I'm just so excited. Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. Are there any specific stories that just stand out in your mind that you want to share about any particular person or gift or anything about your experience?
I will say that we did get many emails and of gratitude, some really beautiful emails from our employees who were so surprised. And our our employees are always extremely busy. We are a very busy hospital in our area. And then it's COVID. So the fact that they're responding to an email responding to something that they don't have to, it's not from a senior leader, it's not job related. They would send us some emails, that we forwarded to the senior leadership about how much it meant to them and their thanks. And that was, again, it was a very emotional time. It was great to be able to do it, and then to see the emotion and what it meant to them, to be recognized, to be thought of during that time was wonderful.
I'll share. We had a fun moment on our own team where we work remotely. Most of us work remotely. I come into the office several days a week, but most of us work remotely. So we only see each other, several times a year. And when we had our own sort of holiday get together, our end of the year get together, if you will, a couple of people had already gotten their jackets and kind of came in like, oh, let me just zip up my jacket, and like showed off that they had already gotten their jacket. And I thought that was I was like, oh my gosh, that's what they look like. So it was fun for us to see our colleagues on our team that already had gotten their gift by the time we were meeting for our own sort of end of year celebration. So that was really great to see our own team members with their swag on, and that was funny. That stands out to me that they had already gotten and took the time to make sure they wore it to our event, and then made a little bit of a deal, like, oh, here, let me zip this up. Like they were showing it off. So I thought that was great.
I also remember, Lynn, I don't want to use names, but we were in another meeting with a larger group of people. I think they were still HR. And someone was relaying a story where, like, later in the spring, they were out in their yard, I think raking leaves or something, wearing their jacket, their new swag, and someone stopped them in their neighborhood or on the street and said, do you work for Baystate? And he said, yeah, I do. And then went on to share a story of how Baystate helped a family member who was really sick and the care they got, and shared this story with our employee, all because he was wearing a logo jacket and he had yet another meaningful touch point. I feel that this recognition and people going out there and wearing Baystate Health goes with recognizing who we are, who our employees are, the core values of compassionate care and integrity and teamwork and belonging. And so when our community sees that and expresses their gratitude for something that had happened to them or a relationship with them, I get teared up hearing the stories that they've experienced, and it's just wonderful. And knowing that we had this small part to get them this because the leadership found it to be so important to do, it fills me with pride for the organization. And I think, again, CA is short for just being able to make this go smoothly. Who would have thought that something of this size with a small team would go smoothly? And it did.
That makes us so happy, right, Jimmy?
Yes, it does.
I'm very emotional with you guys right now. It's wonderful. But I do want to take a moment to speak to those of you who might be watching who you're like, okay, yeah, it's all great, all the touchy-feely stuff, but, come on, there's a bottom line here. Well, let me just tie some of this together for you. And Jimmy, all of you can be helpful with this. But, what you've heard already in here is that you have a budget that you will know what it is, and that's it. You don't have surprises because everything is determined ahead of time. Even though they have gift options, all the gifts have the same value. So no matter what someone chooses, you've spent the same amount of money, right? So, and you said you had six choices? 6?
Yeah, now the holiday program had different values for each of the gifts, but their years of service is like you mentioned. But the holiday, they gave some jackets, they gave fleece vest, a tumbler, a blanket, and each of those had a different value, but they knew what they would spend if they ordered that specific item.
So there's not surprises. So you absolutely know what's going to happen. And I want to also clear something up too, Jimmy. Any of you could answer this, but Jimmy, I'm going to ask you to talk about it. How did you get that many people to do redemptions? What is our system out there for making sure people are redeeming and helping them not to get lost in the shuffle?
Well, it's all about the communication that we talked about, the mailing of the card, the email communications, and just keeping a line of communication with Lynn and Cathi. You know, they knew who had not ordered, who had ordered. And then, of course, as Miss Lynn pointed out, the word of mouth. I'm sure that when someone said, hey, I just ordered a jacket, if you placed your order yet, or as Miss Cathi got her jacket, she wore it in. Somebody said, where did you get that at? You know, so it's all about the communication and how you get that information out to the employees.
Jimmy, what part does CA Short play in helping to do that?
Well, we help design the card. We work with them with the messaging. We helped with the mailing of it. And then we also took care of all the email notifications to the employees. Our system will allow us to know who is ordered and who has not ordered.
Wonderful. So
an important part of that, I think, too, is the reminders. So if I get the email and I'm on vacation, that week, and I don't order, sort of midway through the program, I got an email, just a reminder to hey, you haven't ordered yet. This is still there, out there for you. That is also helpful. Those reminders from CA Short for those who have not ordered, that sort of targeted email, that has helped us. And with our years of service program, that helps quite a bit too, because we do leave that open for a little bit longer. But those reminders that, hey, you still have a gift that you can redeem, those are incredibly helpful.
Yes.
And I love that those reminders only go to people who haven't ordered. I mean, the bandwidth for Lynn and I to manage 13,000 emails and track, these people did take them off and all of that, having that not on our shoulders and knowing that, our employees aren't going to keep getting these reminders that are going to bother them. Like, I got 5 I've already ordered. It only went to the people who had not yet ordered was great. And that admin portal, being able to track that and us not having to think and double check, just look at the numbers and not have to do anything with it. And if we did have a question, we would just pick up the phone and call Jimmy. And I'm going to say the responsiveness of Jimmy, was phenomenal. It was just like calling someone like in the other room. I had a cell phone, I could text them. There was like everything available. And it was really very helpful.
So really, Baystate gave you, the two of you, a tremendous holiday gift by taking the bulk of the administrative responsibility off your shoulders and transferring it to our arms to do it for you. And that makes us happy, because then we feel like we're just like Santa Claus all the time, getting to or your favorite gift giver, whether that's whatever that is. So it is just so fun for us. And this whole conversation has been so much fun. I'm so thankful that you decided to come on the air with us. And we would like to take a moment now. We have a surprise for you. We prepped our viewers. Now they were in on a secret. Now they get to celebrate with us as we celebrate you.
Well, first off, every year CA Short does our All-In Award winners. We take our different programs that we do and we recognize our winners at an event that we hold. I know that Lynn and Cathi were not able to attend, but your video was played. And y'all were the only ones that sent in a video that was for the other companies that were, and it went over tremendously. It was great. And today I'm happy to be able to hold your trophy that says the 2023 Best Performing Holiday Program, Baystate Health.
Tilt it a little bit, Jimmy, so we can see it better. There we go. No, there we go.
This camera's.
We got an award for
all I
best
need to know
performance, and
is-
Lynn and I didn't even dance yet.
We just need to know where you'd like for me to mail it, and just send me the email, the address, and I'll get it mailed to you. And I am honored that I got to meet both of you, and I get to work with a great healthcare organization. And I hope Baystate understands the value that Lynn and Cathi both bring to the organization. And I'm sure they
know
do.
that.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Cheri. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Let's just kudos to Baystate. Clearly, they do understand the value of all their employees, and that
They
it takes
do.
every single one to make it work, right? Takes the teamwork to make the dream work, right?
Yeah.
And so they created the dream and then created the team to make it happen. So happy for all of you and for us to be in association on the journey with you. And, you know, Cathi, we have a few minutes left. You could run to Lynn's office and y'all could dance.
No, that's not happening.
I do want to give a quick shout out. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out to Linda Proctor, client service rep, because Jimmy did walk us through so much of the portal and there was so much to do, but there were times when we just didn't have the time to go in there and do it. And so even though I knew I could do it myself, I would shoot Linda an email or Jimmy, and she would like pull reports for me like that. And I'd be like, thank you. Because I know I was supposed to do this, but that's how responsive they were. And yeah, our stand-up is better than our dancing. So when we have more time, we can perform for you.
All right.
Oh,
How about
well, Cathi performed at our event. Cheri performed at our event on Friday, and she sang a little karaoke for us. So-
Nice.
Jimmy?
Do we get a personal? Are you going to serenade us or anything right now?
Not today. Thanks, Jimmy. I'm going to throw that right back at him, didn't he? Listen, you guys, thank you for making us look so good. We really appreciate you. Oh my gosh.
You.
So it's that time again, viewers. Thank you, Cathi. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you, Jimmy, for co-hosting. And thank you, viewers, for being with us today for the CA Short Company All In Employee Podcast. It's been fun, it's been informative, and it's been engaging. Remember, you're either all in or you're all out. See you next time.